Here you have my low-carb, gluten-free tortillas. Let me show you how I made them. So here what you see in this bowl is my egg whites. As you can see, I'm using the liquid egg whites. This is just some water, just room temperature water that I'm going to go ahead and add to the egg whites. And just whisking a little bit to combine, not too much, just to get the water incorporated in there with the egg whites. Now the next thing I'm going to add here is just some seasoning. And I have salt, garlic powder, and onion powder, as well as some baking powder. So just sprinkle it into the water and egg white mixture. Next thing I have here that I'm going to add is my coconut flour. And this is the brand that I use. Depending on the brand that you use, your batter may be slightly thicker or thinner than mine's. But I've used different types of coconut flours and always get the same results. So that was coconut flour, about 1/3 cup. And this is what I'm adding right now here is some raw garlic. It's about a tablespoon of fresh garlic that I minced, and this is optional if you don't want to add it. I really love the taste that it gives to these savory tortillas. So once you add in all those ingredients, you're just going to go ahead and whisk it up really well. Make sure that you don't have any clumps in your flour. And you can also sift the coconut flour before you put it in there if you like. I really usually don't. I just add it in there and then just give it a good whisk, which is what I'm doing here. Just making sure everything is combined. This is fairly simple to do. Very simple recipe, and I love it because you get about 12 to 14 of these tortillas. So you have enough to eat for at least a week. And so here I'm just showing you the consistency of the batter, okay? So as you can see, it's very, very runny, very loose. You're going to think, this isn't right, but that's what it's supposed to look like. So you're done mixing the ingredients. And now we're getting ready to make the tortillas. And what you want to have is a non-stick pan. Make sure you have a non-stick pan. This is about 6 inches round. If you would like to make them bigger, you can use a bigger skillet. That's up to you. Put your heat on medium and just let your pan heat up a little bit before you start making these. And very important, even if you're using a non-stick skillet, you want to coat the pan with some type of fat. And at this point, I'm using butter. You can use olive oil, you can use coconut oil, whatever fat you want to use. I bet it'd be delicious with some bacon fat. All right, so I usually just use butter or even like a spray, non-stick spray. And just make sure you coat the pan, not an enormous amount, but good enough to make sure especially your edges are covered. See here, I went back and I added a little bit more just to make sure. And since I let the batter sit for about 5 minutes, I'm going back in with the whisk and making sure that, again, that everything's incorporated, that like the fresh garlic I put in there isn't all like at the bottom of the batter. And that's why I'm giving it that last mixing there. And here you can see I've already made some. You can see on my plate I've made quite a few. Here's one coming off the pan right now. And again, you really want to make sure that your pan is non-stick. And on top of that, you use some fat to coat the pan. It's really important because you want to be able to slide that tortilla off of your pan as easily as possible without it breaking up. And this is going to be a very thin tortilla, so that's another reason why you want to make sure that you have your pan coated enough where it's not going to stick. So here is a 1/4 cup measure that I'm using, and I'm filling it almost to the top. And then as you see, I pick up the pan right before I put in the batter and just kind of swirl the pan around, all the way around, to make sure the entire pan, bottom of the pan, is covered. And once you see that the batter is no longer runny and everything's been distributed evenly, then you just set the pan down and you just wait, pretty much. So don't be impatient. You want to let the tortilla cook for about a minute on medium heat. As you can see here, I'm getting impatient. Good, 45 seconds to a minute. And then, so you can start running your spatula around the sides of the tortilla, just to make sure you're not getting anything sticking. It's still not ready to flip. And you're going to see some bubbles forming on the top, just like when you make pancakes and you see the batter kind of drying up a little bit. That means it's already cooking and almost ready to flip. And here I'm just making sure that nothing is sticking and that the sides are good, so that I can go ahead and flip the tortilla. So you see how I'm lifting it up little by little, making sure that it's time to flip. And you'll get better at this the more you do it. I've already done this a good amount of times. As you can see there, something was sticking a little bit, so it wasn't ready to flip. So I went around it one more time. And now it's ready to flip. And you can see it's nicely browned on that first side that we cooked. Now we get to wait again, because the other side has to cook for about another 45 seconds to a minute. And I've noticed that depending on the fat that you use to coat the pan will be how colorful or how toasty, I guess, or brown your tortilla is going to be. Butter usually does this, makes it a little bit browner, a little bit more color. So when you can shake the pan like this and it's completely loose, nothing sticking, then you just give it one last flip, just for like 2 seconds. And then your tortilla is ready.